Well, we might need to pray for the entire world, because what is coming now that Israel is considering retaliation against Iran? Well, this is going to be troubling, not just to Iran, not just to Israel, not just to the Middle East, but to the United States and to many countries all around the world. I want to break down what's going on, what we have learned throughout the day today, and explain what's going to happen moving forward. Tomorrow and Tuesday will be especially interesting. So we'll break that down in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. Okay, so let's talk about what Israel is planning to do. Well, this is very, very recent. It says Israel vows to respond and weighs next steps during significant 24-hour period. It says a UN Security Council met to discuss and respond to Iran's attack. Now, here's where things get interesting. The United States is in the mix. The US is very much in the mix. So are other countries. But it was what happened just recently, and who knew about it beforehand. Remember, the United States, they kind of knew something was going to happen. Israel, again, kind of knew something was on the table. But another country was actually told by Iran. Look at this. According to Reuters, it says Iran told Turkey in advance of its operation against Israel, according to Turkish sources. Now, here's what's interesting. Turkey has been part of NATO since, I believe, like 1952. Turkey's greatest ally is the United States. But yet, Turkey did not do much as far as warning Israel. Now, yes, Turkey has pretty much condemned Israel for their attacks on Gaza, but that's just one part of it. But what's interesting about this is more people knew. And now all the stories are coming out that, yeah, everybody knew. This is one of the reasons why Israel was somewhat prepared. But what happens next? Because what happens next, nobody knows. Nobody knows what what's going to happen to Iran because of their attack against Israel. Well, look at this. It says this is what we know. The UN Security Council met to discuss and respond to Iran's attack, where Secretary General Antonio Guterres said it's vital to avoid any action that could lead to major military confrontations in multiple fronts in the Middle East. Here's the problem. They're discussing the Middle East as a whole. Here's the problem with Israel. Israel currently has a war going on between them and Hamas in Gaza. We are still attempting to get the hostages that are being held captive by Hamas. We're trying to get them back to Israel. In doing so, Israel's releasing hundreds of prisoners that they have held for a little while and some for years. And they're going to send them back to Gaza, back to Hamas. Again, it's turning into a very interesting time, especially now. Here's what else we know. President Joe Biden convened a meeting of G7 leaders where they condemned Iran's unprecedented attack against Israel. Also, it says Iran launched an attack yesterday in retaliation for the April 1st Israeli bombing of its consular building in Syria, which took the life of Tehran's top commanders. Israel will respond to Iran's attack, but no final decisions about the size or timing of the response have been made. Keep in mind that Iran waited. They were hit on April 1st. That wasn't an April Fool's joke. They were actually hit on April 1st. And then they waited until April 13th to respond. Could we actually see Israel respond, but wait a week or potentially 2 weeks? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. But here's what we know. The United States is basically facing World War III. But President Biden isn't acting like it. And the reason why he's not acting like this is potentially going to turn into World War III is because the United States, based off reports, are trying to get other countries involved to shelter the U.S. from this war. That's what they're saying, is that the U.S. is trying to get other countries so that they act as more of a barrier to protect the United States or the Biden administration from any fallout, negative fallout, that could come because of this. That could hurt them in the upcoming election. Again, it comes back to the election. Now, I want to read this to you. Okay, I want you to understand how Israel's army and Iran's army compare. Look at this. This is actually from Bloomberg. It says, how do Israeli and Iranian military capabilities compare? It says, Israel's forces have a vast technological edge over Iran's. That's partly down to military and financial support from the U.S., which has long sought to ensure Israel's advantage as part of its commitment to the Jewish state security. For example, Israel is the only state in the Middle East so far that's bought Lockheed Martin Corps F-35 fighter jet, the costliest weapons system ever. It says Israel is also widely believed to have nuclear weapons, though it has never acknowledged that capability. It says, by contrast, sanctions and political isolation have hobbled Iran's access to foreign military technology, driving it to develop its own weapons, including the missiles and drones it fired on Saturday. Iran's combat aircraft are mostly older models inherited from before the country's 1979 revolution. It's agreed to buy Russian jets, but it's not clear that they'd been delivered. Again, Israel is far superior than Iran at this time, but we don't know what Iran's been doing. But here's what we do know. The United States is going to continue to back Israel. This is also going to put more pressure on Iran if Israel responds and retaliates to Iran. Iran is likely going to target the United States because technically, well, not technically, but essentially, Iran is attacking the U.S. because the United States are putting, in some cases, we're putting a lot of our military equipment, but we are potentially going to put our troops up against them. I want to show you this. Speaker Mike Johnson says the House GOP will try again and pass Israel aid. This is going to happen as soon as this week. The reason why that is so important is because Israel is going to need more help. They need more help. They cannot fight two wars, one against Hamas, one against Israel. The United States also knows if they jump in and they step in like they are, like they have been, well, there's a good chance it's going to look like they are the ones running this. And we are the ones that are pushing Israel to respond. When in reality, we're not. We're trying to tell Israel, just wait, be patient. Let the G7 come up with a response. Let them decide what the next step is going to be. But at the same time, President Biden wants to take a step back, wait, and see what Benjamin Netanyahu has up his sleeve. Because as of right now, the expectation is Israel is going to respond. There will be an attack, and this next attack will likely cause a regional war. The concern, though, if it's too big and it's a great attack, this could potentially cause a world war. Because like I said earlier on today, I stated, and I was trying to be very clear on this, experts believe Israel is attempting to pull the United States in to a regional war, because that alone is actually going to destabilize many countries in the Middle East. Iran would be one of those. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you right now is pray for the entire world, because we are very close to World War III. So as always, as I learn more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.